Hi guys, we just finished up at Ensign Peak Memorial Garden, and now we're actually going to hike up to the top of Ensign Peak. And at the trailhead there's a number of signs, so we're going to take a look at those. This one just gives you, some cautions and when it opens and stuff, and here's another one. And then in the last video we were talking about the flag that flies at Ensign Peak. Of course, you have the United States flag, the new flag of the state of Utah, but then you have this other flag. And when I was younger, I had no idea what that was. I wasn't curious enough to read any of the signs or anything like that. But once I started my YouTube channels, I learned that this flag right here, that's the flag of the Kingdom of God. And like I said in the last video, from my research, and there are good papers that have been written about it, papers by BYU, but essentially it was a flag that was created for the actual political Kingdom of God, and they at least started thinking about it during the Council of 50 when they were trying to plan the political Kingdom of God. Okay, Ensign Peak Nature Park, dedicated July 26, 1996 by President Gordon B. Hinckley. This park is the result of public-private partnership between Salt Lake City and Ensign Peak Foundation. Salt Lake City Mayor Didi Corradini. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard or thought about that name for a long time. Salt Lake City Council and the Department of Public Services. Ensign Peak Foundation, and then it has a bunch of names. You can pause and read that if you like. About the plaza. The plaza reminds visitors of the history of Ensign Peak. It is built with concrete aggregate similar to that used during pioneer times, and blends with the natural stone found in the area. In memory of the 9 men who hiked to the summit on July 26, 1847, 9 stone seats and 9 trees encircle the plaza. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. The paving stones on the floor sketch a map of the world. By standing on the approximate location of Salt Lake City and looking through the cleft in the wall, the summit of Ensign Peak can be seen. The plaza is situated a symbolic 47 feet from the street. A reminder of the year 1847. Dang, they have a lot going on here. From the summit of the peak, Brigham Young and other pioneer leaders viewed the valley and named the peak Ensign after Isaiah's words, "And he shall set up an ensign for the nations," from Isaiah 11:12. 3 flagpoles on the plaza provide ample opportunity to hoist our national ensign as well as other flags. Well, I don't think there's a map here anymore. What I understood is that there's supposed to be like a map right here, and if you stand it, wait, what did it say? It said, okay, the paving stones on the floor sketch a map of the world. Yeah, I don't think that's here anymore. Okay, but that's fine, whatever. Okay, you have one of these. This is number 43. Man, I wish I had the time to track down all these markers. Ensign Peak, July 26, 1847, 2 days after the Mormon pioneers entered this valley, Brigham Young and party climbed to this point, and with the aid of field glasses made a careful survey of the mountains, canyons, and streams. In the group were Heber C. Kimball, Wilford Woodruff, George A. Smith, Ezra T. Benson, Willard Richards, Albert Carrington, and William Clayton. Wilford Woodruff, first to ascend the peak, suggested it as a fitting place to set up an ensign, Isaiah 11:12. It was then named Ensign Peak. Consequently, the Stars and Stripes were raised here. Ensign Stake Mutual Improvement Associations and Utah Pioneer Trails and Landmarks Association. Okay, I'm probably not going to read all of these because at this point it's just getting to be too much, but I will do this. You can pause and read this if you'd like. I will also post pictures of these on Instagram and Facebook under my Christian Homestead accounts. I'm actually really surprised at how many signs and plaques and historical markers they have at this location. I mean, yeah, you would think that there would be more than maybe some other historical sites, but even with that in mind, it is a lot. There's a picture of Joseph Smith. And yeah, there are a lot of accounts. And maybe I'll put some of those in the description box below. But there are a lot of accounts talking about the fact that Joseph Smith knew that the saints were going to come to the Rocky Mountains. I have one that says that when Christ comes, that the church will be in the Rocky Mountains. And presumably that means headquarters of the church. I know there's the whole thing about, you know, independence becoming the New Jerusalem, and when it comes to second coming stuff, my opinion is that we have slivers of information, but we don't know exactly everything that's going to happen and in exactly what sequence and the timing. It is going to move at some point to Independence, Missouri, Jackson County, but what that looks like and how long the transition is and all these things, I don't know. Okay, the view from Ensign Peak, and then it has different things to look at. I'll probably point out a lot of that once we get to the top. So let's go ahead and start hiking this trail. I've been in this house before right here. Right after I graduated high school, I started playing around with my dad's SLR camera. It was a film camera. This was kind of around the transition time from film to digital. And my dad had this Minolta, and I wanted to learn photography. And so I went to the library, got books, and learned what I could. And then I started practicing with this camera that he let me have. And we came up here, me and my friend, one night. I wanted to get some pictures of the sunset. And I left both my keys and my cell phone in the car. We were locked out. And my friend didn't have a cell phone. So this was like back in probably late 2002. It could have even been early 2003. So there were no smartphones, there were cell phones, but whatever, we were locked out. And so we knocked on the door of that house and told them what was going on, and they were gracious enough to let us in. And that house, it has an amazing view of the valley. In the living room, it has these really tall windows, and whoever lives there now, or whoever has ever lived there, really lucky. I'm very blessed. Okay, sorry, I had to stop for a second. I have a friend with me, and the hike is a little bit too much for him, or he can't keep up with my pace. He may not come up all the way. But yeah, it has been probably that length of time since I've been here, the early 2000s. I don't know, there may be another time, I can't remember. But as soon as I was able to drive when I turned 16, I came up here so many times. Sometimes with friends, many other times I would come here with a date. I mean, when you get to the top, as you're about to see, it has an amazing view of downtown Salt Lake and just the entire Salt Lake Valley. Oh my gosh, this is steeper that I remember. Holy cow. Of course, the last time I was here, I was probably a teenager, so I guess that kind of changes things. There was one time we came here for our prom date. Oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't prom, it was homecoming. And it wasn't the date like during the day before the dance. Okay, this is a little bit worse than Spring Hill at Adirondack. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to talk actually. I'm pretty out of breath. Okay, and we still have to get up there. I guess we can kind of look at the view that we have from here. Got a bunch of trees in the way. Now in my 40s, hopefully I don't have a heart attack. But actually, I think this channel, with all the walking that I've been doing, maybe it'll help me put off getting a heart attack. Oh, there's a little place to sit. Let's stop here for a second and catch our breath. Oh my gosh, okay, here we go. Let's do this. If I was able to survive the United States Army in Afghanistan in Spring Hill, I know I can survive this. So yeah, homecoming. We decided to leave the dance early because it was lame, but we still wanted to be out. And being teenagers without very much money, I was like, oh, let's go to Ensign Peak. And the girls had their high heels, took them off. We actually gave them piggyback rides, at least part way up the hill. As I'm doing this right now, I'm starting to wonder what we were rethinking. But we did it, and we had a great time. Yeah, I kind of wish I knew like how much further I have to go. Oh, this is way more brutal than what I remember. Ow. Ow. My calves. Well, at least now I can see the monument at the top right there. That has a pretty interesting detail. I think on the back side, I'll show you in just a second. Well, hopefully if I don't die first. I think the first time I came up here, it was as like a youth group activity. And then ever since that time, I just wanted to keep coming back. Although, the way that this is going, this might be my last time. Okay. Do we take the shortcut that's steeper, or take that other way? Let's do the shortcut. Oh. My calves were not too happy about that decision. Let's take a look at this over here and take yet another break. Okay, the valley. Earthquakes pushed up the Wasatch Mountain Range, leaving a fault line at the base of Ensign Peak and along the Great Salt Lake Valley. Cradled in the massive Wasatch Range to the east and the Ochre Range to the west, the Salt Lake Valley has no natural outlet. The valley slopes down to the beaches of the Great Salt Lake. The Jordan River winds through the lowlands, carrying water from Utah Lake and mountain streams to the Great Salt Lake. Okay, I don't need to read the rest of it. I just need to survive the rest of the way. Whoa. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, let's keep going. At least I know we're almost there. Okay, and from here we start to get our first view of the west side of Ensign Peak. Oh. I can see I-15 and a refinery. Looks like there used to be a plaque right there. I can only assume it was stolen. I don't know. Otherwise, why would the whole thing be gone? And then, let's see, right there basically is Salt Lake International Airport. I don't know if you can see the control tower right there. And then the Great Salt Lake is like right there. Oh, such an amazing view. That's one thing I love about Utah. It's so scenic. Virtually everywhere you go is beautiful, picturesque. Up here in the north you have the mountains, which include the beautiful canyons and the trees and the forest. And then I showed you when we first got here for this trip, we went out west to the state line near Wendover and went to the Salt Flats, which is a pretty unique place. You go down south and you have the desert and all the red rock. Some of my favorite places on earth are in southern Utah. I love Moab. I love Delicate Arch. That's the arch that's on the license plate of some Utah license plates. I love Lake Powell. It's been a long time since I've been there. The only place I'm really familiar with over there, I think it's called Bullfrog or something like that. Oh man, I wish I was that fit and had that much energy. That would have made this a lot easier. That cul-de-sac right there, that was probably not so much now, but that was a popular place for teenagers to go and park and whatever, kiss. I never did that though. Oh, and I can see Welfare Square. It's hard for me to see on my screen, but I think it's about right there. You see the grain elevator. It seems like whenever dignitaries come and visit church headquarters, they take them out to Welfare Square. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. Oh my gosh, definitely gonna have to take some ibuprofen when I get back down. Okay, here we go. Oh, come on, just a few more feet. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so here's the monument. Oh, I didn't know it was at the top. I thought it was like down here. hopefully you can see right there, there's like a cement block that says Kolob, and I'm assuming that's what that sphere feature is supposed to be on top. I think I read about it somewhere. Oh wait, hold on, what's this? I've never noticed this. Let's see, it says Milwaukee, US. Okay, whatever, if you say so. Okay, we got one of these markers, number 43, Ensign Peak, July 26, 1847, 2 days after the Mormon pioneers entered this valley. Brigham Young and party climbed to this point, and with the aid, wait, I feel like we've already read this. We have. I think this is what we read at the trailhead. Okay, well, they have it here too. Yeah, I always loved this when I was younger, and I still do. Alright, let's look this way again, and we'll do kind of a panoramic shot of the surrounding area. There's the point of the mountain where if you take I-80 goes that way, and it goes to Wendover and the Salt Flats where I made that first video. But when you go around the point of that mountain, that's where you have Tooele and the Deseret Peak Utah Temple, and I did a video there too. It's the 200th temple of the church, and President Nelson himself dedicated it. And then right there in front of us we have downtown Salt Lake. Again, hopefully you can see it well, but you can see Salt Lake Temple under renovation. I feel like you can see the Joseph Smith Memorial Building pretty good. And then there's the Utah State Capitol, the church office building, and then like basically to the left, if you look at the church office building and go to the left a little bit and up, you see that road that goes all the way down. That's State Street. It's that really prominent road to the left, and then the next block over is Main Street. When I was a teenager, it was a really popular thing to, you know, go on State Street, especially like on weekend nights, and just, you know, just cruise up and down State Street. But then they started cracking down on that. I think they made it basically illegal, like there was some kind of, I don't know what you would call it, not like a curfew, I'm not sure what you would call it, but they put restrictions on, you know, dragging State Street. Okay, let's take a look at these over here. The summit. No, we already read that. This might be a duplicate as well. Over here we have flags on Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak has been a place for much flag flying. Shortly after the coming of the Mormons in 1847, an American flag was flown from this summit. Early settlers may have also flown their special flag of the kingdom. Yeah, so that's that blue and white flag. The kingdom flag was never formalized into an exact pattern, but likely had 12 blue and white stripes and 1 or more blue stars. It was likely flown from Ensign Peak as part of the first Pioneer Day celebration held in 1849. In 1897, the Salt Lake Herald, a local newspaper, erected the first flagpole on Ensign Peak, and the summit was designated by Utah leaders as an official place to display the American and state flags. 50 years later, volunteers carried a 700-pound pole to the top of Ensign Peak, where it was erected. This pole was later damaged by vandals and removed to the council hall near the state capitol. Yeah, as far as the like flag of the Kingdom of God goes, there's a BYU paper that showed a design that I think Wilford Woodruff came up with, and it was a very well, maybe to like from a modern point of view, it was kind of an odd looking flag. It kind of looked like missionary sketches of the plan of salvation. It had like a sun and a moon and a star, I think, and it had kind of an odd shape. But anyway, I think they did come to kind of like a consensus of what it looked like, and that's what's flying at the bottom of Ensign Peak. But like the sign said that we just read, it was never officially formalized. But I'm willing to bet that during the millennium that will be the flag of the Kingdom of God. That's what I think. Yeah, and then over here, looking to the east, you have the University of Utah right there. And then if you go all the way south and you exit the Salt Lake Valley, you end up in Utah Valley, and that's where you have BYU and Provo, Orem, and American Fork, and all those places. I'm currently staying in Saratoga Springs, which is a relatively new city. It's just all brand new developments and stores and restaurants. It's as though you opened up a brand new city on Christmas morning, and everything's just nice and shiny and new. That's what Saratoga Springs is like. But the traffic down there is horrible. It's the worst. I've never seen traffic so bad in my life. I mean, I've lived in Phoenix, and we lived in Texas. Now I live in Kansas City. I've never seen it as bad as it is here, specifically in Utah Valley. It's the worst. And then over here, there's just these mountains, and I highly doubt that anything would be built over there. It seems like it's too steep, but what do I know? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll talk to you guys later.